Hey, it's Gevorg here. About 80% of all honor students come from the public practice. That's because they have a lot of mentorship, resources, support, and so on. I interviewed an honor student from CFE 2019 and she's never worked in a public practice. So how did she do that? What are her secrets? I want to share with you her strategies on how to prep, write cases, and pass the CFE in today's video. The honor roll student asked me not to publish our interview on my YouTube channel, so instead, I'll read the interview transcript and summarize the most important takeaways. Alright, prep. What was your CFE prep schedule like? I booked off the entirety of capstone 2, but retrospectively think that was way too much time. I carried over 3 weeks of vacation from last year and used 3 weeks in the current year, so 6 weeks in total. My performance peaked at week 5. I studied 8 hours a day and took evenings and weekends off. How did you practice writing cases? I printed out most cases to simulate the exam setting. I used a tracking sheet that split up requires by category, FR, MA, tax, and so on. For any NCs and RCs, I made notes on how I could take my response to the C level. This helped to identify any recurring mistakes I was making. I used to debrief day 3 cases the same day and day 2 cases the next day. How did you feel about CFE? Day 1 and 3 were fine. Day 2 had strange FR AOs and also had MA AOs, which, while not unheard of, were unexpected. Which day was the hardest? Day 2 was the hardest. Day 1 is the least technical, so it could be considered the easiest. While day 3 was time constrained, I didn't find it too bad. The FR on day 2 was difficult. I felt better about day 3 and thought that management accounting would pull me through level 2. The module exams were way easier in comparison. I was definitely not aiming for honor roll, I just wanted to pass. I was just trying to accumulate as many C's as possible. I don't think aiming for CD is a good strategy. Anytime you spend perfecting one AO is time taken away from another AO, and a CD is worth no more points than a C. She has interesting points here. It's definitely not a good idea to shoot for a CD because you're risking to run out of time. At the end of the day, C and CD are worth the same mark, so there's no point. She also mentions about day 2 being the hardest, and I completely agree with that. You'll find the FR issues on day 2 to be very hard, and it's your job to get a C or competent on day 2, which makes this day very challenging. Do you use an outline, and if so, computer or paper-based? Yes, computer, but I make margin notes on the case itself and write down key facts and a timeline for a visual reminder. Did you write intro in your case? No intro, just go right into requireds. Any tips on pacing for 3 days of case writing on CFE? Rest for sure. I didn't look at anything after the exam. I also avoided discussing what I wrote and reading anything about the CFE online until after the results were out. I think she's referring to Reddit, Facebook, and other social media sites where students discuss how things went after the exam. How do you approach the day 1 case? Situation analysis. Have the headings ready and fill them as you're reading the case. Only write down factors that you will use in the issue analysis. Issue analysis. Make sure you integrate the situation analysis into the analysis of issues. Make sure you have both quant and qual analysis. Conclude for each issue. Conclusion. Have an overall conclusion to summarize your recommendations. She didn't speak about quants during the interview, sadly, but I find a lot of students struggle with day 1 quants, for example, NPV analysis, discounted cash flow, and so on. But that's fine, I cover quants in detail at my day 1 prep course. The link is in the description. Check it out if you need help with day 1. Any advice for future CFE writers? Don't get discouraged if you get a lot of NCs or Cs at first. As long as you understand why you got NC and how to bring them up to C, you'll be fine. Speaking about that, is you were going through Cap 2, were you already a CCD level or did you gradually improve? It was a gradual process for sure, but that's why debriefing properly is so important. During the interview, she mentioned that she was at the RC and C level during the first 2 weeks, then she gradually improved, which is a typical trend that I see in a lot of students. Alright, so the takeaways are: take roughly 4 to 5 weeks off, study 8 hours a day, print the cases to simulate the exam settings, outline on a computer and make margin notes on paper. For NC and RC grades, make notes to yourself to identify recurring mistakes. Give yourself time, it takes a few weeks before we reach the C level. And lastly, day 2 is likely going to be the most challenging day, so be prepared for it. So our full interview was about 20 minutes long. We discussed how to outline and write day 2 and 3 cases, how to budget time, structure quants, how to remember ASPE and IFRS criteria, and much, much more. This and the other interviews I've done are part of the CFE prep course I offer. If you feel that you need help, please check it out. The link is in the description, and I'll see you next time. Yeah.